In a world of darkness and magic lives a race called the Eif. This race of people were on the verge of destruction as a nearby star to their planet started to die. Their only hope of salvation at the time was to link their world to another. Now, their world is suspended in place near a black hole. With their magic, they are able to save their homeworld without displacing their people or the people of other planets. But this came at a price. High levels of magic used to cause the planet to stay in place and keep the moon in place as well affected all of Firia and its inhabitants. They used the moon to create a new sun. They imbued it for several days with their own magic. It was then that they had started to move on to changing other things on the world so that they could survive as well as the animals there. All of this, the magic, the high levels of it, it started to change everyone, the animals and the people. Mutations became common. It was not uncommon for children to either have amazing gifts of magic that were far beyond what was originally ever thought to be, but it also had become very common as well for some children to be born with what could sometimes appear to be no skin, but in fact it was just translucent and allowed for everything under the skin to be seen. Some were bioluminescent, others had reflective eyes. The mutations didn't cause any of them to appear to change species, but they did affect everyone in different ways. The magic wasn't necessarily dangerous, but it did change everyone in one way or another. The plants that they did create were, in a sense, magical items. Living magical items to help sustain their planet and their way of life. Most of these plants are bioluminescent, giving off a faint glow in the night. Even during the day they glow, but just not as much. The world itself is always in darkness. The only hope of reprieve is every day when the moon comes up and sheds a very cool silver light down on the planet. There are many things on Firia that changed that day. The language changed, the people changed, the magic changed, the creatures changed, and the world that they knew changed. The linking between the two worlds had created different portals between Firia and Earth. It wasn't uncommon for humans to sometimes just wander into Firia, stumble across it, and if they should leave, return with fantastical tales, all of which were just myth and legend to the humans. But to us, we knew the truth. It was always so interesting listening to the legends that you humans would come up with. The world that was so different from ours. You're a world of light, and we're a world of shadows. The Eif, which are the most common race, are not the only race. In fact, there are a few races. The IFE itself is a very diverse group in which we have several subcategories, and these were done based upon different types of mutations that would occur, and as such, they've helped with just identifying people, nothing more, nothing less. The other races, they do, on occasion, live amongst the IFE cities and villages, but it's not uncommon for them to have their own society, and their own civilizations. Some of them are much more well off than others, and it is unfortunate, but it is a fact of life, as even with your world. It seems that it's a common thing for there to be different races to live on one planet. Here we also have different types of magics. Some people are born more powerful than others, and some people come into their magic later in life. Our magic is different and very unique in its own way. When one starts using magic, they're able to summon a type of, how should I put it? They summon a type of creature that is an aspect of themselves. It's a manifestation. That is the best term. And these manifestations vary greatly on how they look. Some will be cute and cuddly, others will be monstrosities. The overall size of these does not show how powerful one might be in their ability to use magic. In fact, it is one of the hardest things to scale. Magic scaling has generally varied based upon the specific abilities in which an IFE or one of the other races can actually perform. I, myself, use shadows. But this does not mean that I am most powerful because I actually utilize shadows from the world around me. There are other, much more powerful magics than even I possess. Magic in Firia is extremely diverse, and the only hint to what their magical capabilities are in fact their manifestations. So, for instance, say someone has an extraordinary ability to manipulate fire. Their manifestations may be molten monsters. Their manifestations will have something to do with fire, lava, or something to that effect. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will be molten monsters. They could just be some cute, cuddly creature that's just extra warm and fuzzy. That is generally the hint as to what if an IFE can actually do for magic. In some cases, some can actually manifest more than one, of different sizes. In some cases, they even change shapes and sizes. It really depends as to what the manifestation is. It's also not uncommon for a manifestation to be called a conduit. And this is because a manifestation is an extension of the mage, and as such, they're able to perform magic through their manifestations. This gives them a wider range of abilities. In some cases, this can allow for greater levels of control. In all reality, magic is extremely complex and is constantly changing on our world. There is always a new form of magic being discovered. There seems to also be new races being discovered as well, or subcategories within a race. It is a world of wonder, in my opinion, a world that changes so rapidly that if you are not used to it, then you are left behind. Our magic changes our world every day, just like your technology changes your world every day. Something new is always happening, and it affects us all. And for those of you who come to visit, I'm sure you will see changes every day within the world of Firia. One thing I have not mentioned so far is that Firia has not always been called Firia, at least by humans. It is very common for humans to refer to this realm in a number of different ways. Oftentimes it is described as a type of shadow world, running parallel to yours. But as you already heard from what I've told you, we aren't a parallel world. We're actually a planet, far away in the stars. And just because our world is different than yours does not mean that we come from a different universe. Well, parallel universe. We come from the same universe, just farther away. We are galaxies away from your world, and that is the only thing that really separates our planets in the grand scheme of things. Because if we were from a parallel world, I guess it would just mean that we would be a precursor to what would happen to yours soon. It would be foolish to have linked our world with yours if that was the case. So, don't be fooled. But overall, I do hope to see you in Firia one day. That is, if you ever dare to come visit our world of fantastical beasts, monsters, and magic. Sweet nightmares, humans. Bye-bye.